Hello everyone. So today I thought I would film the process of making one of the Chinese dishes that I make. Today we'll be making a vegetarian vegan dish with tofu because I think tofu has a really bad reputation in the United States. People don't think they like tofu or they actually don't like tofu. So we're gonna make a dish to kind of maybe change your mind about it a little bit. Alright, so let's get started. We're gonna soak up and rehydrate some of the dehydrated shiitake mushrooms. So we're going to use about 6 good sized ones, maybe 7. So let's see, 1, 2, 3. These are a little bit on the small side, so I'm gonna go with 7. Oh, here's a big one. Alright. What the hell, let's do 8. Alright, so with the shiitake mushroom, the dehydrated ones, you can see they have a stem in them. And so if you just pull it right off, like that, it'll make soaking it easier. Sometimes, like these big ones, you can't really do it because it's too thick and you just have to cut around it afterwards. And the stem that you do take off, go ahead and put it together with the soaking liquid. Okay, so you got about this many mushrooms. Give it a quick rinse. And then you just want enough liquid to soak through, just want enough liquid to soak them. And this is going to rehydrate for about, half an hour, 20 minutes or so. Alright. Alright, while the mushrooms are soaking, we're going to prepare our seasoning here. It's actually really straightforward for this dish. So we're going to use oyster sauce. And this is actually a dish where if you want to make it into a vegan dish, you just skip the oyster sauce or replace it with the soy paste. It doesn't really work well with the soy sauce because they're too thin and they don't have enough of the umami and the sweetness. So you want to use either the oyster sauce or the soy paste. Alright, so I think I'm going to need about 2 tablespoons of it. So the way I cook, I mostly go by sight and taste. So cooking with defined amounts is actually new to me, especially dishes that I just make on my own, not following particular recipes. That's 1/2. Yeah, I'm just gonna eyeball the rest. Okay, I think that's it. That's about 2 tablespoons. Okay. Alright, so that's gonna be our oyster sauce. The other thing we'll need is cornstarch to make a slurry so that the tofu doesn't get too wet. One of the challenges of cooking tofu is that, that was teaspoon. Never mind, that was 2 teaspoons worth of, no, that was 4 teaspoons worth of oyster sauce. 4 teaspoons. Alright, next we're going to do some cornstarch. One of the challenges of cooking with tofu is it releases quite a lot of liquid when you cook it. So in order for your dishes to stay together, you usually use cornstarch, or you treat the tofu in some way, like frying them first or steaming them first to get the liquid either sealed in or extracted. Otherwise, your dish is going to get pretty watery once the tofu is cooked. Okay, so that's about this much cornstarch. That was about 1 teaspoon of cornstarch. Now I am not going to add the liquid to it yet because I want to use the soaking liquid from the mushrooms. So I'm going to wait till the mushrooms are done soaking. Then I'm going to use that liquid to make a slurry out of this cornstarch. And other than that, it was just going to be salt and pepper. Okay, the other ingredient we're going to need is some kind of mixed vegetables. I like peas and carrots and beans. If you want some other varieties, you can go for it. I usually like just the carrots and peas, but I am out of it at this moment, so we're going to use this mixture, which has corn and lima beans and green beans and carrots and peas. So I'm just going to use about half a bag of this, and I'm going to let it thaw out at room temperature. Alright, next we have the tofu. Right, so today I'm using soft tofu. You can also use medium firmness. Anything too much firmer than medium is not going to work too well for this dish. So I recommend using soft or medium for this. You can get all sorts of tofu now. I mean, you can get them in the full organic form or these regular form. They come in either these plastic boxes, or if you go to Asian grocery stores, they actually have tofus that come in a paper container pack. So any of those is fine. So this tofu is about 1 pound 3 ounces. Just gonna open this up. And pour off the liquid. And now you have your block of tofu. So we're going to cut them into cubes, right? So we're going to do this one. I'm going to cut it in thirds this way. Okay, then I'm going to flip it over like this. And then so that's about the size of the tofu cube you want. You can cut it a little smaller if you would like. Don't think that will hurt it. Alright, then this is all ready to be used. I'm gonna put that in a container so it's easy for me to grab when I need it. Alright, now we just need to wait for the mushroom to finish hydrating. Alright, so the mushrooms that have been soaking are soft enough to cut now, so let's cut them up. The liquid we're going to reserve for the sauce later, so we'll deal with that in a second here. So to cut the mushrooms, when the ones still have the stem on, what you want to do is just cut off that stem part, because otherwise it's difficult to cut through. So we're going to do this to all the mushrooms. Now you can see some of them are still really tough and it's really hard to cut through in this shape, so I'm going to cut them in half first. Then you can get to the stem part a lot easier. Okay, I think that's all of them. This one is really tough too. Alright, so we got all the stems out, and then we're just going to cut them into small dice, like about this big. If some of them still seem a little tough in the center, that's okay, because through the cooking it will soften up enough. Alright, so we got our mushrooms ready. So for the soaking liquid, I'm going to remove all the stems from it. And I'm going to pour that into our cornstarch. And also a little bit to loosen up the oyster sauce. There we go. Alright, then all our seasoning and preparation is ready. Now we can actually cook it. Alright, so we're going to start our fire. And let's see. There we go. Alright, so I'm using a kind of a soup pot kind of thing. So it has some thickness to it. It makes the stirring with the food a little easier for this dish. You don't have to have a wok in order to cook Chinese food, so any kind of pot like this will work. So next I'm going to turn the exhaust on. The exhaust I have is kind of strong, so I hope that you can still hear me at the end here. Alright, so we're going to let the pot heat up. I'm going to wait a little bit, let it heat up a little bit more. And we can use just about any sort of stirring utensil. That's going to work. Alright, now the pot is hot enough, so I'm going to put some oil in. And then get the mushroom in there. So I'm using a medium-high heat right now. Gonna let the mushroom cook up a bit until you can smell the fragrance of it. Alright, then we're going to put our tofu. You can see there's quite a lot of liquid in the tofu as it sits, so I'm going to drain it out first here. Alright, so I've drained out most of the liquid from the tofu. And as you stir, the tofu is going to break down, that's okay. And then the vegetables that I've left out is still a little bit frozen, so I'm going to throw in a little bit early here. Gonna hit it with a little bit of salt right now. So that's about half teaspoon, 1 teaspoon. And because the vegetables that I'm using is still kind of frozen, we're going to have to be a little bit patient for it to heat all the way through. Alright, it's been about 2 minutes. All the vegetables are heated through, so now we're going to go add our oyster sauce. And then the cornstarch. Now waiting for the cornstarch to thicken up a bit. I'm gonna give it a quick taste. It tastes a little bit light to me, so I'm gonna hit it with another couple pinches of salt, a couple shakes of the white pepper powder. And you want a kind of loose consistency like this. It doesn't need to all form up into a big blob. Alright, now everything looks ready. Gonna just pour it into a serving bowl. Alright, and then I usually serve it with a spoon. So that's the stir-fried tofu with shiitake mushroom and vegetables. It's a pretty good dish. If you haven't tried tofu before, you want to try a different variety of cooking, give it a shot. Thanks.